Okay, so this is just going to be an updated version of a video that I made a little while back on the Apple Pencil 2nd generation versus the Tab S7, Tab S7 Plus, S Pen here. Now, even though that video had some pretty good substance to it, I just feel I should add some additional details just to kind of make the whole thing a little bit more comprehensive. Let's go ahead and jump in. All right, there are quite a few things to cover here, so it might get a little bit all over the place, but I will try to give it some structure, so just bear with me here, okay? So the Apple Pencil 2nd generation is obviously made by Apple, and it will be compatible as of right now with the iPad Air 4 and notably the iPad Pro lineup, specifically the 3rd generation and later for the 12.9 inches and 1st generation and later for the 11 inches. The Tab S7 S Pen that we have here obviously was made for the Galaxy Tab S7 and the Tab S7 Plus, but it will also be compatible with the other Samsung tablets that have S Pen support. And no, using the S7 S Pen on something like the Galaxy Tab S6 Lite will not improve the latency or will not give it, all of the additional extra features that are available on the Tab S7 lineup. But that's just a whole other story there. Now, although this comparison is specific to the Apple Pencil 2nd generation versus the Tab S7 S Pen here, it is also worth noting that there are a number of third-party styluses that will also work on either one of these two tablets, whether we're talking the Tab S7 here or the iPad Pro or even the M1 there. Now, in terms of design, the Apple Pencil 2 has been improved from the previous generation and, in my opinion, looks better than that 1st generation Apple Pencil. It offers a softer touch when compared to the 1st generation one, and it is still a quality design. It has kind of a matte feel to that plastic body, and it is pretty easy to grip. It comes with a plastic tip, and it has a flat side on here that helps, that makes it easy to attach your Apple Pencil 2nd Gen to your iPad. On the other hand, the Tab S7 S Pen is the current most modern Samsung Pencil. It's also very well improved when compared to the previous generation, with a more smooth touch compared to the Apple Pencil 2. It's also noticeably lighter and, smaller, obviously smaller than the Apple Pencil 2, and it feels very natural to the hold, right? The Apple Pencil 2 also does, but this one just has something to it. Maybe it's because it's lighter and you have a very fine tip there, very similar to the tip that you would find on a normal pen, and it is just fantastic for taking down notes. On the side of the stylus here, there is a button that you can use to access a number of options for the stylus. And before I forget, if this is your first time visiting, well, welcome to the channel, of course. I'm really hoping that you're enjoying the content so far, and if you are, I truly appreciate that. Please do me a huge favor. Hit both the like and the subscribe button there. It's a huge boost to this channel here, and again, I very much appreciate it. All right, so let's go ahead and get back into these two here. The Apple Pencil doesn't have any buttons, but it will respond to a double tap by offering a few pre-selected Apple Pencil options. The tip on the pencil here is fairly thick, at least when compared to that of the S Pen, and the tilt functionality is pretty neat on this one here because of that thickness of that plastic tip. Now, I have come across, articles and videos of people who prefer the type of tip that you get on the Apple Pencil because of the thickness there, for drawing. But on the other hand, you also have a ton of people who prefer this finer tip for drawing still. Now, when it comes down to just feedback in terms of taking down notes, without a doubt, not even close, the feedback that you get from the Galaxy Tab S7 S Pen here is just unmatched by the Apple Pencil. It is fantastic feedback when you're writing with this. I mean, taking down notes is simply the best using this stylus. I have not come across any videos or articles that state that the Apple Pencil notes-taking experience is better. Now, that being said, there are people who prefer that tapping sound that the Apple Pencil makes every time the pencil touches the screen when taking down notes. So it's a personal preference thing. As of myself, that thing just drives me nuts. Just tap anytime you're writing. That plastic on glass, it drives me crazy. Now, holding them side by side and comparing, the Apple Pencil 2 feels a little bit more dense than the S Pen, and you can also feel the weight difference, as I mentioned earlier. And because of all of that, it gives off a tad more premium feel to the hold compared to the S Pen. Now, both styluses can be charged up using the designated pad, like in this case, it's on the back of the tablet, and on the iPad Pro there is on the side, as you may have seen me do earlier. It also attaches to the side on this here. On the Tab S7 here, but it won't charge on the side. On the back is where you will get it to charge. But here's a really interesting fact here. The Tab S7 S Pen here, you don't have to charge it in order to use it. So if it runs out of battery, you can use it pretty much as a standard stylus, meaning with all of the features that Samsung offers on their regular styluses, you would have that on here. The Apple Pencil 2nd Gen, on the other hand, if it runs out of power, that's it. You cannot use it. So that's something very important to highlight. So you can still use it as a stylus. So this S Pen here, being Samsung's most modern S Pen, does come loaded with a ton of new features. And having it charged up is just so that you can access those new features and remote gestures. Essentially what I'm saying is that if it runs out of battery, you should still be able to have this revert to the standard stylus. Both styluses are very accurate with great tracking, but in terms of user experience and just given the visual appearance of that finer tip that you have on the S Pen of the S7 here, it gives the impression of being a little bit more accurate when compared to the Apple Pencil 2nd Gen. It's a very fine and rubberized tip here that offers excellent strain resistance, pressure levels, and also activation force, giving you the impression you are writing on paper. Now, one thing to keep in mind there is that if you own a Tab S7 or a Tab S7 Plus and you want to use a matte screen protector, it will affect that rubberized tip that you have on your pencil. So it may not last as much as, let's say, if you didn't have a screen protector. So you have to keep that in mind. And as I said in past videos, if you want to get that sound as if you're writing on actual paper, you could just turn that feature on in the settings, or you can simply buy a matte screen protector and then just get ready to replace your tips once the tip gets eaten up. In terms of latency, these two are really up there. They're both boasting a whopping 9 millisecond response time. And I'm talking, of course, in comparison when using their respective Pro tablets, because in the case of the iPad Pro, it supports 120 Hz refresh rate with that ProMotion technology. And in the case of the Tab S7, you have that same support for high refresh rate at 120 Hz as well. Now, you will be able to see really the top performance of these two here when using the actual native apps, the actual apps made by the manufacturer. Samsung Notes, for example, will be where you'll be able to find that 9 millisecond, all the top performance features that you have on here. You'll be able to see a lot of that on that Samsung Notes because it's very well optimized, just like many of the other Galaxy apps. So what I'm trying to say is that you will have third-party apps that will not necessarily meet the 9 millisecond performance that you have here. So in some cases, you might see a little bit of a lag. iPadOS generally contains some pretty well optimized apps, and taking notes in the Notes apps on the iPad Pro works very well also, and it's very, very accurate. Palm rejection is great on either one. I've never had any issues with either one of these two. Now, in terms of ergonomics and, to the hold, there are people who will find the Apple Pencil to be what they're like, right? So it really comes down to your personal preference, especially people who tend to maybe grip the pen or the pencil when they write with. In my case, I generally have a fairly soft touch when I hold a pen or a pencil. I usually just hold it very softly. So without a doubt, without hesitating, I would just go for this one because it feels very light, and because I have a soft touch when I'm writing with it, it just feels a lot more comfortable for me to use this one. Whereas on the Apple Pencil 2, I can generally feel the weight difference because I hold them very lightly. Now, before I go ahead and give my summary, I just want to add that there are a bunch of other options that I didn't highlight in this video that are offered by the S Pen. One of them notably, pushed by Samsung itself. They had the commercial where you could see someone actually, presenting and using the S Pen as a remote to actually go through different slides, among many other features, right? You can use it as a remote toggle for the camera shutter. You can play and stop your audio, your video, and so forth. And of course, you have plenty of smart tools that can be activated by the S Pen on your tablet. In short, you can do a whole lot more with the Galaxy Tab S7 S Pen versus what you can do with the Apple Pencil 2nd Gen. So here's the bottom line. If you are in the market for either one of these two, meaning you are considering buying either the Tab S7 or the Tab S7 Plus, or some level of iPad that supports the Apple Pencil 2, while trying to make that decision, make sure to consider the fact that the S Pen is a highly customizable and flexible, and frankly, this kind of highlights what the Android platform is known for. Flexibility. You can use the S Pen in a number of ways that you frankly cannot with the Apple Pencil 2nd generation. Plus, if you are looking for something more of, something that offers a little bit more value, then you should be leaning this way, because the S Pen will be included if you were to purchase the Tab S7 or the Tab S7 Plus, right? Whereas the Apple Pencil 2nd generation here is purchased separately, and it cost I believe, I bought mine a little while back, and I believe it was $130, either $125 or $130. So these are things that you need to keep in mind when making that decision. Now, that being said, of course, the Apple Pencil, as I mentioned, just the build of it, definitely more premium, has some weight to it, very dense, as I said, as opposed to this very light pencil here. So it's very subjective as far as what you are going to like. So you may actually just want to order one of these and try and see how you like it. You do have a set of people who prefer the S Pen for drawing and taking down notes, whereas you also have another group of people who prefer the Apple Pencil 2nd Gen for drawing as well. So it will really depend. Now, as for myself, just someone who genuinely just likes tech, if I were to choose, regardless of how much either one of them costs, it will be this one. Even knowing that this costs more, I will still go Galaxy S Pen, simply because of that user experience, and the feedback you get out of it is just excellent. And this is of course added to the fact that I can do way more with the S Pen. So of course, as you're making this decision, it will all come down to your preference. Make sure to not only go over everything that I've highlighted in this video, but you also need to make sure that you familiarize yourself with the tablets, right? You have to know what they are offering, so you can kind of just, I guess, predict the type of user experience you will get with these two, because that will play a major role in, which pen or which stylus you want to go for. Anyway, I hope this was informative. Don't forget, of course, to like, comment, subscribe. Make sure to share the video also if you know someone who will be interested in watching this, or someone who is in a situation where they got to make that decision. I'm going to catch you in the comment section like I always do. Oh, did I say subscribe? Make sure to subscribe if I didn't say that. I'm also going to catch you in the comment section, and I'm also going to catch you in the next video. And as always, stay safe out there.